All right, guys. So, crisis barely averted with us this morning. Um, so this morning we're laying in bed. Sundays is our one day to sleep in. So me and Heather are laying in bed. It's probably about 7:30 or so at this point. Kind of waiting on Elias to wake up, and we hear this noise. And we're at Heather's parents' place, and so we thought it was her mom messing around outside in the gravel driveway. So then we notice all of a sudden that the trailer has no power. I'm freaking out with him because he's like leaning off the back of the chair here. So we wake up, we think it's Heather's mom out messing around in the gravel driveway, moving a trash can or something. Didn't think much of it, but while we're laying there kind of half awake still, we begin to notice that there's the little buzzards going off telling you that the power's going out. Then all of a sudden we have no power. So I get up and I start looking around. I check the breaker panel. All the breakers are good. And then I go outside. And guys, we nearly burnt down our brand new trailer. So this is something that can happen, especially when you're necking down power going from 50, no, don't touch that, bud, that's nasty. When you're taking power from a 50 amp and necking it down to a 30 amp, and then you're running it through a 30-foot extension cord. This is something that can happen. A lot of heat builds up in that plug. And to make that even worse, if you have the smallest amount of debris, dirt, anything inside that plug on either side, the male or female side, you create a hot spot in that connection. And that's exactly what happened here. Luckily, it's been raining. We keep our plug. Heather's dad made this cool little thing for us. Our plug stays in this normally, but the lid had gotten blown off. And it had rained. Now, because it had rained, you can see there's a bunch of water down in the bottom of that. Guys, this thing was literally on fire. That water put it out. That water put it out and kept us from burning our trailer down. So what we're going to do today, you get two options when you do this, when this happens. And sometimes it'll be drastic like this. Sometimes you'll just notice, you're starting to notice a burn mark on your plug when you unplug and plug in. When you notice that, go ahead and change it. But you get two options. You can either, one, replace this whole lead that came with your trailer. You can do that. And that's pretty expensive. Or there's a reason that you see these little things at Camping World, at your RV stores. There's a reason you see these things. This happens a lot. So you can actually just replace that plug-in. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you guys just exactly how to do that and show you that it's actually pretty simple. All you need to do this, guys, a sharp knife, some wire cutters, and a screwdriver. And we're going to show you how to do it. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and show you. Here's the thing, I hate electricity. I do not like to work on it. But guys, this is really easy. And the thing is when you do this, you have to be unplugged anyways. So I am actually unplugged from both the outlet, obviously, and from the trailer end. So there is no way there is any power to this line, so you don't have to worry about that. But to get started, guys, when you go to Camping World, your RV supply center, wherever you want to go, I'm not going to advertise for them. You can buy one of these 30 amp male replacement ends. And guys, they run anywhere. You can buy them as cheap as like $5. I think I've seen them for $5. This one here was, I think, $25. It's a little bit bigger. You've got your handhold on it and everything. So this one was a little bit more expensive, but same thing. Doesn't matter if you buy the $5 one, the $25 one. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. So first thing you're going to do, guys, you've got 4 screws right here. You're going to take these apart. And here's the thing. You might get worried that you're going to, wire this wrong or something. Guys, the nice thing about electricity, they do everything by color. And even if they don't, if you can just remember when you take this one apart, what color went to what, you'll be fine. But in the directions, it actually tells you which color goes to where. So you don't have to worry about accidentally cross-wiring this. You won't be able to do it, guys. It's all color-coded. So it's just like kindergarten. So these first two screws you take out, these just take out your strain relief clamp. These next two that you're going to take out, this actually takes the whole front off of this, or the whole back rather, off of this. Alright guys, so here's what the inside of this looks like. This is where you're actually going to put those wires from your old wire. They're going to connect to each one of these screws. We're doing a 30 amp, so you've got 3 wires. Now, green is for ground. See how that works, guys? G, green, G, ground, green, ground. That's your ground there. And then your other 2 wires will tie in here. And like we said, this is going to... Now I'm going to guess here, and I'm going to almost guarantee you I'm right. This screw right here, black, I bet it's a black wire that goes there. This screw here, no color, I bet it's a white wire that goes there. But we'll know that for sure once I cut into this one. So again guys, like we said, you're going to want a sharp knife, because this is where the sharp knife comes in. You're going to have to cut back on your old wire a ways to see how far that burnt. And then once you get that figured out, you can go ahead and cut that end off. So we're just going to take a sharp knife, we're going to run it down the edge here. And then we're going to start peeling that back. Now since that's coming off, we can cut that. And when you're doing this, guys, yeah, you're using a sharp knife. Try not to cut those wires inside there, because you want to keep those as safe as possible. But if you do, that's okay. You'll be alright. Just don't leave that bare wire out. You want to keep it covered. So I'm peeling mine back a good ways because I want to have plenty of room to work with here. So our wire has this nice little fancy wrap around it. We're going to peel that wrap back. But they went ahead and color coded everything for you. Green wire, black wire, white wire. Now if this confuses you guys, if you want to double check yourself, the directions will actually tell you what color goes to what. But once you've got that off, guys, now it's time to just cut wires. So we're going to take some wire snips here. We're going to cut these wires, cut that old head off of there. And once you've got this old head cut off, guys, you want to kind of inspect these ends and make sure that fire didn't run down your lead anywhere, because you don't want to put burnt ends back into your new plug. So mine, it looks like the fire part of it was literally on the other end. It was on that extension cord. That extension cord was old. It probably had some dirt and debris in it from, you know, a year and a half of moving around the country. That's probably what caused this issue. We've checked the breakers and the power where we're plugged in. Everything's fine there. So the problem was probably just some debris or some just over time heat buildup in that extension cord that caused that to happen. So that's a reason. Don't use an extension cord unless you have to, because when you use an extension cord, you're going to get a hot spot there. So only use an extension cord when you absolutely have to. But guys, now what we're going to do, we're going to strip some of this back so that we've got we're going to take and strip some of this wire back so that we've got plenty of wire to connect to our new connections. Now what you'll notice, guys, when you look at this, that green wire needs to be a lot longer than the that green wire is going to be longer than your black and white wire. So make sure you've got enough to get that green wire connected. Once you've got that, go ahead and trim your black and white wire back. That way you don't run the chance of anything in here ever touching that shouldn't be touching. You don't want these wires touching each other, bare wires touching. Now if they're touching like that where there's no wire exposed, that's fine. You just don't want bare wire touching bare wire. So we're going to go ahead and strip these back. This is where that sharp knife comes in handy again, because you can do this pretty easily with a sharp knife. Alright guys, so if you look at this one, you can see that I've actually pulled these plugs out. And that's kind of convenient, guys, because here's the thing. When this goes in, if you notice, you can't get to that screw. So you actually have to pull these out and tighten them down. Get that wire pinched in there and tighten it down. Now, like I said, this top one's kind of tough, but you just pull it out. You want it good and tight. Good and tight on that one. And you're just going to do the same thing, working your way around. There's no power here, so it doesn't matter what order you do it in. I like to do this one first. That way, I know how long my wire needs to be. So that green one's back in place. Now what I can do is I can take this black one and this white one. We'll run that one right through there like that. Now this gives me an idea as to where I want to cut that black line and that white line so that I know I've got plenty of room to reach. So we'll just cut those back a little bit. We'll strip them. We'll do the same thing as that we did right here to get that ground connected. And then I'll show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, so we've got everything tied in and wired together now. You can see we've made sure that we have no bare wires touching anywhere. You can see a little bit of a few bare spots there. That's okay, because this is actually weather tight. It's sealed. I am a creature of overdoing everything, so I'm going to go through with the electrical tape too and make sure that there is no way that any moisture is getting in here to affect those ends. But now, guys, once we've got that done, we're just going to cut our main lead back a little bit. That way it can feed into here. Then we'll put our cover back on, and we're good to go. Alright guys, so that's the finished product right there. And honestly, I mean, imagine that this one isn't all melted and burned up. But guys, it looks a lot better to me. I like it better just because I've got a little bit more of a leverage on it if I'm trying to plug in or unplug. So I like it a little bit better anyways, but that's an easy fix that keeps you from having to replace this whole line. Like we said, you can do that, and it's easier. You just go swipe a card and you can buy a new line. But if you're living on a budget and you don't have the money, because some of these lines, guys, they go for $100 to $200. So this, $25, and it's fixed, it's perfect. It's going to work just as good as a new one would. The only difference, guys, is this one here. If you buy a new one, it's sealed. You can't get into the inside of this one. But it's going to look exactly like what you did in here inside this. You just can't see it. So doing this, guys, it's a whole lot cheaper, and it actually makes more sense to me than going and replacing that whole line. So along with this, guys, like I said, the initial issue was probably our extension cord. That's where I think the issue was at. So we went ahead and replaced that extension cord also. It was due time, plus it caught on fire too. So the other end of it, you saw it in the thumbnail, it's melted and burned up too. So now we've got this new line on. We're going to make sure all of our connections are clean, both on this new plug and where we are going to connect to the new extension cord. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we'll be ready to go. Alright guys, so like I said, we're at Heather's parents' place, and this is one of the things that we're having to battle with, necking down power. So we're actually plugged into a 50 amp twist lock for her dad's welder. So that's one thing. We're necking down a lot of power down to 30 amp, and when you're putting all these different adapters and these extension cords, guys, that really puts a strain on the power and on your extension cord. So we're going to plug the adapter into the twist lock, the extension cord into the adapter, the extension cord into the trailer. So you can see how there's a lot of places for a weak connection there, and that's what causes burnout like this. So we're going to go ahead and connect everything together. We're going to make sure everything works. And guys, this is kind of, if you RV a lot, you know this, but for you new RVers, whenever you connect, no matter where you are, campground, whatever, extension cord, no extension cord, turn the breaker off. Don't turn the breaker on until everything's plugged up and connected. You don't want to plug into that hot breaker. That, if there's a chance of something going wrong, you want to know before you turn that breaker on. So again, just make sure that breaker's off before you plug everything in. So we've made sure the breaker's off, so now we're going to plug everything in.